You believe the conflict starts the moment you step onto the floor, where the true conflict lies engaged in battle. Prior to that in your thoughts, before I ever swung my fist, ever kicked, I had before triumphed, or fallen in my head. The moment uncertainty enters, the fight has ended, which is why I prepared my brain just as hard as my body. I sharpened it like a sword, sliced away all reluctance, and increased its strength compared to I dread more than I hurt, and I hurt more than disappointment. I was never the most prominent, the strongest. I didn't have the luxury of brute force. But power is not simply in the muscles, it's in the mind. A weak mind will break before the body ever does. That is why I made my mind unbreakable. When the body tried to seize my intellect, pushed forward, while pain yelled at me to quit, my mind silenced, because I witnessed folks lose before they even entered into the fight, not because they weren't skilled, not because they weren't prepared, but because they permitted doubt to take root. They hesitating, they questioned themselves, they feared failure, and in that hesitation they lost before the first punch was fired. They had already surrendered, not me. I made a decision, one that I lived by every single day. I will never quit. No matter what, there was no second thought. No hesitancy when I faced hurdles. I didn't ask, can I overcome this? I told myself I would overcome this. There was no alternative option, and that is what separates those who succeed from those who don't. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's the decision to keep going, no matter what. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. You either commit or you don't. You either chose to be unstoppable, or you allow yourself to be defeated, because the truth is most people quit well before they ever properly fail. They give up when things get hard. They step aside when dread whispers in their ear. They hunt for justifications instead of moving on. But the ones who refuse to leave, they are the ones who become amazing. Thus, ask yourself right now, are you already lost in your mind, or have you made the decision to keep going? No matter what, there was a moment when I was ordered to lie still, helpless. The doctor said I might never kick again. I laughed. Pain is something every warrior must face. It doesn't ask for permission, and it doesn't wait for you. Must be ready one day. I was at my peak, stronger, faster, more skilled than ever. The next, I was lying in bed, unable to move. I damaged my back in 1970, when lifting weights a mistake, an error, and suddenly all I had labored for seems to be slipping away. The ache was intolerable. I could scarcely stand, let alone train. The doctors came in, looked at me, and told me what no fighter ever wants to hear. Bruce, you might never kick again. Can you fathom what that feels like to hear? The thing that defines you, the thing you have dedicated your life to, might be taken away forever, to be told that your body has limits, that you must accept weakness most people would have succumbed in. At that moment, they would have taken such words as reality. They would have let terror take over, let doubt sink in, let agony control them. But I refused. Glanced toward the ceiling for hours alone with my thoughts, and I questioned myself. Who decides my limits? The physicians, the injury, the pain number? None of them. I decide. I refuse to accept their words as my fate. If my body was broken, then I would recreate it. If I couldn't move, then I would recreate it. If I couldn't move, then I would train my intellect. If I couldn't kick, then I would find another method. But one thing was certain. I was not done, not even close. Most people think strength is in the body, but genuine power is in the mind. My mind wasn't resting. I was training. I read, I wrote, I planned, I visualized, I witnessed every kick, every movement, every hit in my skull, so plainly that when I eventually got up, it was as I had never stopped. And when the moment arrived, I didn't just heal, I come back stronger, since suffering is not setbacks are not defeat. The only way you actually lose is if you accept it. The injury could have broken me. The remarks of the doctors could have become my reality. But I made a choice. I would not let pain define me. I would not let fear stop me. People will tell you that you can't, that you're done, that you can't, that you're done, that your time is done. And when they do, you have two choices. You can believe them, or you can prove them wrong. I choose to prove them wrong, and so can you. Individuals watched my moves and called me fast. Number, I was not fast. I was in control of moment. People usually ask me, Bruce, how are you so swiftly? They thought it was magic, some inherent gift that permitted me to move before or my opponent could even react. But the truth is, speed is not merely about mobility. It's not just about training your body to be swift. It's about training your mind to be ahead. Speed is an illusion. It's not about reacting faster than your opponent. It's about never needing to react at all. It's about knowing what will happen before it. When most fighters wait, they hesitate. They perceive an opening and then decide to strike. But by the time they make that decision, it's already too late. They are pondering when they should be moving. I taught my mind to remove hesitation. There was no pause, no second thought, no skepticism. The moment I saw a chance, I was already moving. My body followed my mind without resistance, without question. It is true speed. But how can you attain that level? How do you train your mind to eliminate hesitation? First, you must comprehend this. Your thoughts slow you down. The more you think, the slower you become. More people hesitate because they are fearful of making a mistake. They evaluate, they calculate, they question their own deeds, and in that moment of hesitation, they loss. I erase that doubt by training one motion 1,000 times till it became part of me, till my body no longer needed to ask my intellect for permission. It merely acted. I fear not the guy who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. This is the secret. It's not about learning additional approaches. It's not about having additional possibilities. It's about drilling. It's about drilling the essentials until they are as natural as breathing. Because when something is actually a part of you, there is no hesitation. When I was younger, I would spend hours striking the air, punching water, kicking in slow motion to polish my form. I watched animals move, studied the fluidity of a snake, the rapid strike of a tiger. They did not think, they did not hesitate. They merely acted. That is what I intended to achieve. And then there is something much deeper. The way you experience time itself. Most individuals receive time as something they must keep up because they feel pressed to react immediately, to move faster than their opponent. Yet I never attempted to keep up with time. Controlling it, I trained myself to slow down. My vision of the world changed, and in that moment time slowed down for me. This is not anything you are born with. This is something you develop. It comes from constant repetition, from strengthening your awareness, from following your instincts. Most people chase speed, but speed is not something you chase. It is that comes when you stop hesitating, when you stop frightened, when you train yourself to move without thought. The next time you desire to be faster, don't simply work out your physique, develop your mind, remove reluctance, master the basics, and manage time instead of letting it influence you. Because the fastest person is not the one who moves first. It's the one who moves at the proper moment without a single wasted thinking. Do you know the greatest enemy I ever faced? It wasn't a guy. It wasn't a guy. It wasn't an opponent in the ring. It wasn't someone stronger or faster than me. It was something far more unsafe. My own emotions. Individuals think the strongest fighters are the ones who punch the hardest, the ones who move the fastest, the ones who train the longer. But I have seen the greatest fighters in the world disintegrate, not because they lacked skill, not because they lacked strength, but when they let their emotions take control. I have seen fury ruin warriors. I have seen fear make a man freeze in front of his opponent. I have seen doubt diminish even the strongest body. Most people believe emotions are uncontrolled. They assume rage stems and they must obey it. They believe terror rises and they must surrender to it. But I never let my emotions to rule me. I control them. I controlled them. I mastered them. Because in a fight, the instant you lose control of your emotions, you have already lost. Think about it. When a man fights with anger, what occurs? He swings wildly. He loses focus. His movements make reckless, predictable, simple to counter. He is battling not with skill, but with wrath and rage is a blindfold. It makes you miss the subtleties, the openings. The precision required to win fear is simply as scary. Fear causes you hesitate. Fear makes you gradual fear, makes you overthink till the opportunity is gone. I have watched fighters step into the ring full of doubt. Their bodies were powerful. Their techniques were crisp, however. In their mind, they were already defeated. And thus, they lost. I schooled myself differently. I did not fight against emotion. I learned to use it. When fury rose within me, I did not let it take over. I focused it, polished it into determination, into precision. My feelings did not control me. I controlled them. When fear entered into my mind, I embraced it. I let it sharpen my senses, heighten my awareness, but I never let it stop me. When frustration occurred, I did not let it lose my attention. I let it push me harder, drive me further. This is the difference between an ordinary fighter and a true warrior. An average fighter allows emotions dictate his acts. A genuine warrior dictates his feelings. But controlling emotions is not only battling is about life. How many people ruin possibilities because they let rage control them? How many give up on their dreams because fear tells them they will fail? How many let frustration break them instead of using it to make them stronger? The greatest battle is not against another person. It is not against the world. The greatest war is within yourself. And if you cannot master yourself, you will never master anything else. Therefore, when you feel anger, do not allow it blind you. When you feel frightened, do not let it immobilize you. When you sense doubt, do not let it overcome you, since the strongest person is not the one who fights with brute force. The strongest person is the one who battles with complete control over your emotions, and you will master your destiny, said Bruce. You're at the peak of your abilities. I stated there is no peak, only more to climb. People dwell within a cage. They do not see the bars, but they are there, built from the limits they have accepted, restrictions set by society, boundaries set by others, but worst of all, boundaries set by themselves. I never accepted constraints. I never seen a wall that could not be breached, a barrier that could not be breached, a barrier that could not be overcome. And because I believe that I proved it true, the biggest lie we tell ourselves is, I have reached my limit. No, you have not. You have barely reached the edge of what you think is conceivable. There is always more. Master, I constructed myself step by step, day by day, never accepting that I had reached the summit, because the minute you think you are done growing is the moment you start dying. I watched folks work out hard, push themselves, achieve a certain level, and then stop. They told themselves, this is enough. Enough for who? Enough for what? To be comfy, to impress others, to fit into the world's expectations. That was not enough for me. I did not train to be good. I trained to be good. I trained to be limitless. Limitations are not real. They are beliefs, and beliefs can be changed. I recall the first time I tried to do a one-in punch. The power wasn't there when my hand moved, but the effect was weak. Someone else might have stated, this is impossible, but I did not halt. I trained my thoughts to delete the notion of distance. I examined every action, every inch of my body, every ounce of energy, and soon I generated power in a way most individuals could not grasp. But here is the reality. It was never possible. It was only impossible until I discovered out how to do it. Most people stop before they ever achieve their true potential. They hit a challenge and say, I can't do this. I say, how can I do this? They struggle and say, maybe. Isn't for me. I say this is merely portion of the process. The mind will try to convince you to stop it, will whisper that you are fatigued, that you are not good enough, that you should accept where you are. I never listening to that voice. I replaced it with my own. Every time I mastered a method, searched for a way to increase it. Every time I pushed my body to its limit, I pushed further. Every time I reached the summit of a mountain, I glanced for another one to climb. Since I knew there is no finish line, the moment you stop challenging yourself, you start vanishing, gone. The instant you believing in boundaries, they become true. Do not allow the world tell you who you are. Do not allow society place you in a box. And most of all, do not let your own mind deceive you into stopping. You are capable of more than you realize, but you will never find out until you refuse to pause. Thus, I ask, you accept restrictions, or will you destroy them? The earth will tell you who to be. Your job is to deny. From the minute you are born, the world tries to shape you. It tries to tell you what you can and cannot do, who you should be, what you should believe. It provides a path that is safe, predictable, and ordinary. Most people obey it without doubt. They do what they are instructed. They live within the constraints set on them. They never ask, is this actually who I am? I was never one of those folks. I refused to allow the world define me. I refused to accept that I had to fit into a mold that was never made for me. When I arrived to America, folks told me I would never succeed. You're too small. Your Asian Hollywood will never accept you. They tried to write my narrative before I even had the chance to live it, but I never let someone else handle the pen. I made my own story. I determined who I would become. I trained. I worked. I studied. I pushed myself beyond every anticipation. I did not care what others thinking. I did not care if they laughed, if they doubted, if they stated. It was impossible, because I had already made a decision. I would become the finest version of me. Matter what it took. Most individuals wait for permission to be wonderful. They wait for the appropriate moment, the right opportunity, the correct validation. And thus, because they wait, they never completely became who they were destined to be. You do not need permission. You do not require approval. The only thing you need is the confidence to go into the unknown, to risk failure, to press forward, even when no one believes in you. I failed numerous times. I was rejected. I was knocked down. I was told to quit. But I did not stop, since I knew the strongest people are not those who never fall, but those who never fall. but those who rise every time they do. Anybody asked Bruce, how did you achieve so much? The solution is obvious. I never ceased becoming. I never saw myself as complete. I never believed. I have made it, because there is no finish line in growth. There is no final version of yourself. Every day is a chance to develop, evolve to attain new heights, but only if you want to take it. So now I question you. Who will you become? Would you let the world decide for you? Will you accept the constraints set upon you? Will you live the life others have chosen for you? Or will you rise? Will you push beyond dread? The walls around you, will you want more from yourself, not just today, but every day? Because the truth is, you are either moving forward or you are standing stagnant, and standing still is the same as going backward. So select choice to grow, choose to evolve, choose to never settle. Because in the end, your life is not determined by what others say about you. It is characterized by what you decide to become.